I do, but for some of you who don't really know my story and why we are kind of crazy, because we love what we do so much and we're so passionate about it and we want to share it with as many people as possible, and why we are so dedicated to what we do. I was 19 when I started getting chiropractic care, and I had really severe migraine headaches. And I've told a lot of you this before, where I literally could not, I wouldn't be able to be in this room. I couldn't see, I couldn't be around sound or light. And I would have to go in my bedroom, I had room darkening blinds, have absolutely no sound because I couldn't stand and my headaches were so bad. And I started to get chiropractic care, and it was like this light bulb switched on in my body. And I maybe had 2 or 3 headaches since I started getting adjusted when I was 19. And so that was interesting to me. But the biggest thing that changed my life was that I was in pharmacy school at the time. And I was doing my rotations and doing my internship, and I worked for a pharmaceutical company. So I filled a lot of prescriptions, and I always have a lot of karma. I have to give a lot of adjustments in my lifetime to make up for that. So I was in pharmacy school at the time, and I worked at a pharmaceutical company that distributed meds to long-term care facilities, nursing homes and children's homes and things like that. And I was always me, and you guys, most of you know me pretty well. So I always made friends with all the residents that were there, and they would, knit me something or give me Christmas gifts, and I'd sneak in treats for them, and make them, banana bread and did all this stuff. And so I got really, really close with some of the residents at the nursing homes that I would go to. And most of them were state-run facilities, so they were pretty bad. And there was this one lady who never had any visitors, which you hear that story. It's it's not a cliche. You hear it all the time. And she would sit on this little old couch, and she knew when I was coming. And we would sit and talk, and I would bring the med card over so I could talk to her and visit her basically while I was working, because no one ever came to visit her. And I saw her come when she first started coming in, and we made friends, and she would always sit and wait for me. Well, as time went by, I kind of saw her spiral downward over a 6-month period of time. And I noticed that when I would come on Thursdays, she wasn't there. And then one Thursday, I heard someone screaming when I was exchanging the meds in the med cart, and crying. And I ran. There were no nurses around because, of course, they're understaffed, and it's the typical night nurse scenario that you hear. And I ran into the room, and I was screaming for help. Somebody come help! Somebody come help! And she was laying on the floor. Her IV was ripped out of her arm. She had hit her face on her little food cart that was on the side of her bed, and her nose was bleeding, and she looked up at me, and I mean, we were on first name basis. I brought her Christmas presents in, and she looked up at me, and she didn't know who I was. And I don't know if it's because she hit her head or it was because of the medication she was on, because at that time I was changing out her meds, and I just saw that she was on medications that had contraindications and everything. And she looked up at me and she said, "Please help me." And it was like my soul just knew. I looked at her and I started crying, not just because of seeing that she was hurt, but knowing that what I was doing was creating that instead of helping her. And so I went back, I quit my job that day, and I moved to South Carolina the next week to go to chiropractic school because my twin brother's a chiropractor in Florida. And he was begging me to go, and I said, "Oh, I don't want to go. I've already gone 5 years. I'm not going another 3.5. And I moved to South Carolina and met my husband on my tour of the school. So there was a reason I needed to go, not just to help you guys, but to find the love of my life. So I love what I do, and I love getting to see you guys every day. Even if we have a and day or a bad week, or we have things going on in our life like everybody else does. You guys are one of the reasons why I wake up in the morning, so thank you.